Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by Bellator Featherweight Justin Wilcox. Justin, how are you?
Good, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Justin, before we talk about your victory last week at Bellator 99, I want to go back in time a little bit. I want to go back in time to, let's say, two or 3 weeks ago, before you got the offer for this fight. What exactly were you doing, and what had caused this long layoff? Because you hadn't fought since July of 2012. So what were you doing, and what caused the long layoff?
I didn't really want the long layoff. I was just looking for, UFC spot, Strike Force, and they were too full, so they cut a lot of guys, and, I lost to Masvidal, close decision, and so unfortunately, I got cut from UFC, and then I started watching Bellator, and I was telling my manager, Bob Cook, I was like, why don't you get me in there? I was like, man, these guys put on some exciting fights, and then I was trying to get in there, but it's just, right now, MMA is just really saturated with fighters, and just not enough places to fight at. So, that's what took so long for me to get back in there. So, and when the opportunity presented itself to me, I jumped on it.
There was a rumor earlier this year that you were supposed to fight Chad Mendes at UFC 157. Was there any truth to this rumor at all? Were you offered a fight with him?
No, just like, hey, when fights would pop up, and I was just showing people that hey, I'm willing to fight, and if anybody wants to fight, I really like to fight, and let's do it. So I would, my buddy Koshek, I was out training with Koshek at the time, and he goes, hey, Mendes needs to fight. I said, yeah, well, hit him up, tell him I'll fight him.
Right. Now, how long were you a free agent before Bellator picked you up? Like, when exactly did the UFC cut you?
Just right after the loss against Masvidal. So, after that, after I lost against Masvidal, they were like, yeah, we're resolving all these guys. And, unfortunately, I had run a bad streak there with, fights, which, a lot of fighters go through, and it happens to the best of them. But, hey, God willing, I bounced back, and I'm ready to go.
Now, when you got a contract from Bellator, was it just to be in this tournament, or had you been in talks with them before and it just happened to come about that someone would drop out of the tournament and there'd be a spot open? Could you explain how the fight came together?
They were really, my manager was talking to them for a little bit about me, and they were really interested in me at 45, and then, but like I said, they weren't able to take anybody on at the time because they just had so many fighters. Like a lot of organizations just, like MMA is getting really saturated with fighters. It's really becoming a big sport. So it was really hard to find a home. So, but and then somebody did drop out, and they're like, hey, they call my manager, you got a 45er, and they're like, yeah, Wilcox will do it.
In this sport, if you don't fight, you don't get paid. So going a year without getting paid, how were you able to support your family?
I'm just, I'm really blessed. I got a beautiful wife that's she's really blessed and got a really great job. So, I just give all the glory to the Lord, that's blessed us financially, and, so I was blessed in that area. Like a lot of fighters, sometimes they're on their own, and but, I have a beautiful wife that has a great job.
Now, from July 2012 to September of 2013, when you went back to the gym because you had lost your previous 2 fights in Strikeforce, you lost to Carlos Fodor and Jorge Masvidal. When you went back to the gym, what were some things that you learned from those fights that you went back to the gym and worked on?
It's like when I was bodybuilding, if a judge tells you, oh, you got to work on this, you got to work on that, but it's not like you go to the gym and you just work on those things. I went back to the gym, and I just try to make my all-around game better. Just like a bodybuilder tries to make his all-around physique better. So I just, worked on every aspect of my game, and unfortunately I had a long time to do that, and really. And then when you saw me in my fight, I was pretty rusty,
Right.
But the guy I fought was a phenomenal striker, so I'm not taking anything away from him. So I mean, it was both, not been in there for a year, dropping 22 pounds, and then this guy's a phenomenal striker, and he just moves so well. So,
For a long time, people have always been talking about you, and when they talk about you, they talk about how you're such a big lightweight because you're muscle on top of muscle. You're just, you're like the Incredible Hulk. You're like a mini version of him. You're just muscle on top of muscle, and for you to make it to featherweight, a lot of people didn't think you could do it, and when you were able to do it, were shocked that you were going to go down there. First, when did you kind of have an idea that you wanted to go down to featherweight? And second, how tough was it for that weight cut?
We've been talking. I mean, in college, I wrestled at 133. But even my whole life, I've been like a muscular kid. That's just the way the Lord made me. I was just real ripped and always muscular. But when I got into bodybuilding, I put on a lot of muscle. And I remember going into MMA after that. I was like, man, I got to lose some of this muscle because it's kind of a hindrance. It's not. It's basically muscle. It just really looks good, and it hinders your movement, and it takes a lot of oxygen from your system. So you got to do lots of cardio. But when I was talking to Bob and stuff, and I was like, let's go down to featherweight. I would like to try it. So this whole year that I was off, I was trying to get I was starting to slowly bring my weight down because I was like, ready to take a fight wherever, either 55 or 45. And so then the opportunity presented itself, and I had 7 days. I would have liked a little longer than 7 days, and I was like, I said, I told the Lord, I said, I'll do it only if you're with me, So he definitely showed me the right way to do it, and thankfully, I did it healthy and got down there.
What exactly do you walk around at? And give me a sample of some stuff that you would eat. When you have to make weight, and when you're like what you mentioned earlier, you had to drop some body weight naturally. You had to walk around at a lighter weight when you're just going about your everyday routine. Could you explain what you eat and how much you weigh?
Yeah, I was. When I was like fighting 55, I after practice, I go home and eat like 5 eggs and a sweet potato or something like that, real carb. So now what I do is I eat way less. I eat 1 whole egg, two egg whites, and I don't eat the potatoes anymore. I have like a half a banana, and a lot of my foods is right now, the only carbs I get are, from my oatmeal in the morning, and then my fibrous carbs from like my broccoli or, my green vegetables and stuff like that. And I eat a lot of white fish now, just lots of lean meats, chicken, white fish, egg whites, stuff like that.
Now, when Bellator, they came in and offered you the fight, were you just, automatically all in just because of the long layoff, or did you have to step back and think about it for a little while? Because, this is, a high-stakes tournament, and, you're going in against 7 other very, very talented fighters. Was there ever, maybe with the weight cut factored into things, was there maybe something where it might not be the best time right now, but eventually we want to do it, or were you just all in when you got that call?
Yeah, that's a very good question. See, this is where, I walk with the Lord pretty closely, and, I bring all my decisions to Him first and foremost. And, my fleshly man was like, you don't take a fight at 45, because I was like weighing 168. So I was, 22 pounds overweight. I was like, I was definitely saying nope, Bob. That's too soon. 7 days. I'm like, are you kidding me? And really, at the time, I wasn't even really on my training program where I wanted to be, and so I wasn't even trained up to where I like to be, but I prayed about it. And, basically the Lord wanted me to step out in faith and take this fight. And he said, be with me. I said, all right, we'll see. I said, if you pray and he says that, and you just got to have faith. So, and then everybody got to see, my faith.
Mm-hmm. Last week you fought Akop Stepania. How much did you know about him going into the fight? Because you only had basically 7 days, give or take 7 days, to prepare for this fight.
Yeah, I didn't have that much knowledge on him. I watched one of his fights. It was kind of like a highlight reel. I was like, man, he does some really awkward back spinning kicks. I was like, he throws out a lot. And then when he came out and he was low kicking me, and I was like, that caught me way off guard. And then, just the speed of his kicks, and he was just so very talented on his feet. He's a very talented fighter on his feet. So that whole fight just caught me off guard. So I didn't really know a ton about him because, like I said, 7 days. So I was really concentrating on cutting my weight.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think, obviously you won the fight, so it really doesn't matter, but who do you think had more of the advantage going into that fight? Is it you because, maybe you kind of surprised him because all this time he's preparing for one guy and then all of a sudden you come out of nowhere, or is it him because he had a full training camp? Who had the advantage in there, or do you feel that you guys were kind of both on equal ground?
If you look at it in the natural, definitely, I think he had the advantage. He had a whole camp. Mm-hmm. He knew he was fighting in this tournament. He had plenty of time cutting weight, mm-hmm. Which I had none of the above. He might have the advantage a little bit. And, I was definitely ranked underdog in that fight, which is fine with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of surprising that you weren't the favorite in that fight because, like I mentioned earlier, you were one of the top guys in Strikeforce. Obviously, it was a different weight class, but still, I was surprised because because not a lot of people knew about this guy, and you were a guy who's been around for a while, so I was surprised by that. But anyways, with only a little bit of time to prepare, what exactly was the game plan going into the fight? Because, like you mentioned, you only saw a highlight tape of this guy, and you didn't really have the best feel that you would have had you had a full training camp. So, what was the game plan going into the fight?
Really, I was like, everybody was. I didn't want to rush into any knees. I thought, dude's a striker. He's going to throw some knees, but as you saw, it wasn't really a case. It was more of a kicker. So that's why I stood on my feet so long, because I didn't want to rush into anything. And but next time if I fight him, I'll just run him down. Mm-hmm. Because he wasn't much of a near, so I could have shot a lot earlier. Avoided a lot more damage.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, in the first round, he had you in a little bit of trouble, but even before that, how did you feel when you entered the cage? Did you feel the effects of, having to drop 22 pounds in a short amount of time? You mentioned there was a little bit of ring rust. How exactly did you feel once you entered the cage?
Oh, yeah, that's, I was telling Koshak in the back room, I was like, man, I feel good, my legs feel good. But you really don't truly know how you feel until you're in that cage and your adrenaline's going, and you got everything working against you. And I was like, man, I really felt that my legs got really tired and heavy. I was like, I don't feel normal right now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, when I got in there, I was a little worried. I was like, ooh, I'm not feeling right.
Mm-hmm. When he landed the kick that rung your bell, was that kind of like a wake-up call for you? Because, you had been out for a whole year. Was that something that kind of, maybe not, consciously you were thinking about it, but once you got in there, you're like, okay, well, now I'm in the fight. Now I'm back together. I feel that, things are coming together for me, and now I'm ready to fight. Was that something where it was kind of a wake-up call, or did he just catch you?
Yeah, really, that kick... it knocked me off balance. I didn't, get dazed or anything. I was really surprised because it was in the back of the head.
Right.
Usually those really, knock off your equilibrium.
Right.
But I reached back. I heard my skin pop. Because when you get cut, your skin pops. And so I reached back down to the ground. I was like, oh man, you just cut me. So I was like, yeah, I got to do something. And that's when I dove onto his legs when he went to kick me again.
Mm-hmm. How many stitches did you have to get back there?
Oh, I got 2 staples.
Oh, I see. Now, what exactly did your corner tell you in between the first and the second rounds? When you went back to the corner, what did they say to you?
I basically told them, I was like, hey, I can't really put that much pressure on my leg. I don't have really good movement. And, Koscheck's pretty tough nose. And he goes, well, go out there and take him down then.
Mm-hmm. Given that, it was a short notice fight, a big stage in a tournament with high stakes, and you'd been out for a year, and the way you were able to come back from the first round and end up getting a finish in the second round, where does this performance rank in your career? Is this the top performance of your career?
You know what? People ask you, what's your most memorable fight, and what was your toughest fight? And I remember I used to say, Nakamura. I fought a kid named Nakamura in one of my first Strikeforce fights, and It was just a bloodbath. I mean, we were just banging back and forth, and I took that fight on 2-week notice. But I would definitely say this fight was my most memorable, and just everything that was just against me. My weight cut, the kid being so tough, and just being in such a big tournament on a big stage. I would definitely say this highlight.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing right now? Are you taking maybe this week off to rest the body, or are you right back into training?
No, I was. I came back from California because I live in Pittsburgh, PA, and I got a great group of 45. I chose to come back here because I got a great group of 45 pounders. I got like 6 45 pounders to train with out here, and and they're all, and boxing's really good here in Pittsburgh. And this kid I'm fighting is he's a boxer, mainly real good boxer, heavy-handed kid. So I was actually I got back from California on Tuesday, and I was back training on Wednesday. I had a really hard week of training already, so I'm back at it.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're out in California, where are you training at? Are you at AKA or Dethrone Base Camp or both?
Yeah, I'll go both. Both of them. I got some really good buddies up in the AKA. I still have good training partners up there, and actually, one of my training partners up there is going to come out and corner me in my next fight. His name's Noad Lahat. He's from Israel. Mm-hmm. So he's a good 45 pounder. Actually, if I didn't take this fight, he probably would have ended up taking the fight. Kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Is he at AKA or Dethrone?
He's at AKA.
Oh. One thing I wanted to ask you about Dethrone is who are some of the guys that are there? Because, it's been a while since we've heard anything about that gym because, Koscheck, he's been injured for a while and hasn't fought in a long time. And Fight Factory, that show, that reality show, they were showing the early stages of the gym where there was, basically not even a fight team. It was just Koscheck and a couple other guys. Who exactly is there now, and how's the gym grown since that show aired? Koscheck and AKA had their falling out. Right. Koscheck doesn't go back up there anymore. Mm-hmm. But his throne's doing really good. He's got some really good guys down here. He's got LeVar Johnson down there. He's got Billy Evangelista down there. Brian Travers is down there. Chris Honeycutt, he was ex-Edinburgh wrestler. He's up and comer. He's down there. You got Koscheck and a bunch of other guys. So they got a good group of guys down there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Honeycutt, is he an amateur or did he turn pro yet?
I believe I think he might be pro. I'm not really sure on that. I don't want to say yes or nay to that, but I know he just won a belt down there in Fresno. Mm-hmm. So I know he's doing good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was one of the guys that they highlighted from Dethrone on that show, so I wondered what happened to him, because I really haven't heard much. But anyways, another storyline in that show that they talked about, and you touched on a little bit, Javier Mendez and Josh Koscheck. Obviously, the relationship isn't great enough for Koscheck to return there, but is it any better than when that show left off?
No, those two don't really, they don't really talk to each other, I don't think they have kind words for each other, so they just leave it at that, and they just avoid each other.
Mm-hmm. How many guys would you say bounce back and forth between AK and Dethrone? Because that was something that they highlighted on the show as, hey, maybe, this is Javier Mendez speaking, he's like, maybe, me and Josh aren't, on good terms, but you guys have been training with him a long time, and you're friends with him, you're more than welcome to go over there and train with him if he wants you over there. So how many guys do cross over, would you say?
As many as they want. What people gotta realize is that really when we go to training camps, we're our own boss. Really, we don't, just because they allow us to come in there, doesn't mean they can tell us, who we train with, what we do, and stuff like that. So, I mean, they don't, a lot of places, if they're a good coach, they want you to go other places. They want you to train with other people. And, so only the best coaches will influence that. So if they're a good coach, they'll encourage you to go train with everybody.
Mm-hmm. Will you go out there for the remainder of this camp? Because it's a quick turnaround, 3 weeks. I believe you're fighting on October 11th. So will you finish your camp out there?
Oh no, I can't. I just like you said, it's just such a quick turnaround. So I'm gonna stay here in Pittsburgh and train here. So I got a bunch of great 45ers here to train with. So I just need to be in shape. So that's the whole plan.
Mm-hmm. Is Josh Koscheck going to corner you for the next fight?
No, he's got a fight coming up soon against Tyron Woodley.
Oh, so, right.
And, he's fighting in November. So so it's he's. I told him don't even worry. He said he wants to fly out today. Oh, I said no, I got cost, man. Don't even worry about it. Mm-hmm. I'll be fine. If
Koscheck isn't going to be cornering you, who is going to be in your corner for the fight?
Cook and Noed Lahat.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving forward, you moved into the second round when you won your last fight. You're going to be fighting at Bellator 103, October 11th. You're fighting Joe Tamamungo. I think that's how you say his name. Joe Tamamungo. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
Me and him got sitting next to each other at the press conference, and we were joking around. He seems like a really, really nice kid. Mm-hmm. Tough. His name suits him, Juggernaut, because he's tough as nails. Comes forward and wants to hit you hard. So, I'm gonna be ready for that. And I'm not taking the kid lightly at all. He's in the tournament for a reason, and he's in the semifinals for a reason because the kid showed tons of heart, so he's willing to fight. So. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is a two-part question. The first part of the question is I'm going to have you rank 3 things about this tournament, and the second part is just tell me why you decided to rank these in the order. First part about being in this tournament is, if you win this tournament, you get a world title shot. The second part is if you win the tournament, you get a $100,000 check, and the third thing, I guess you could say, is you're getting a lot of exposure because you're fighting in Bellator, which is a very large mixed martial arts organization, and you're fighting live on Spike TV. So could you rank those in order of which is most important to you?
Yeah, I would say, just, getting to the pinnacle of the sport, getting to a world title shot is really, the number one thing I would have to say, because money will come, so I'm not really worried about, the money and fame. If you follow me, I'm not the best of guy on Twitter and Facebook. I don't really keep up too much, and unless my wife is yelling at me, you gotta check. She gets all on her computer. She's like, you gotta check your Twitter and your Facebook. There's a lot of people want to talk. So really, just getting to the top. Fighting to the top is, what I've always done my whole life is, been in brackets, and I just want to be that last man standing on that podium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned your Twitter, because during your layoff when you weren't fighting, I looked at your Twitter and I thought, it hadn't been updated in like 5 or 6 months, and so I figured, maybe you were retired from the sport. It's funny you bring that up.
Yeah, actually what happened was what people don't know is I have see, Luke Rockhold, he downloaded a Twitter app on my phone, and I really got used to using that, and I like it a lot. It was so easy to use, and then my phone got outdated, and then I never updated my phone, so I'm just like, and then using the regular Twitter, I was getting so frustrated because I didn't know how to use it, and I was just like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, that's funny, because I looked on there and I was like, well, maybe he's never going to come back to fighting, because you kind of disappeared very quietly. There was never a release saying that you were no longer with Zuffa, and there was no fights had been scheduled. So I was wondering what was going on. So it's funny that you say there was an app that caused me speculating and all this stuff. So that's kind of funny. But anyways, back to this tournament. Are you looking at this tournament, you being a part of it, as a chance at redemption? Because there was a point in time, like I mentioned earlier, there was a point in time where a lot of people thought that you were a very legitimate threat for Gilbert Melendez's belt, because you had worked your way up from the undercards to the Challenger Series. You tore through Rodrigo Dam. I remember that fight clearly. You left him in a puddle of blood. It was just, you had so much momentum. You had the no contest against Jay-Z, but that really didn't set you back, because it was a accidental eye poke, and then you were kind of derailed by those 2 losses that you had, and you've been on this layoff. So are you looking at this tournament as a chance at redemption and finally capturing a belt? I'm not a guy that looks in the past too much. I just try to look what's in front of me. Redemption, not really. Just I just hope everyone can see that, hey, when I tell people I stay ready, and I just train, and that's all I've known is training and working out my whole life, and redemption, not really. I just like to fight, and I'm just glad to be a part of Bellator right now. Mm-hmm. Now, with all you had to go through, you sat on the sidelines for a year, you had to cut a massive amount of weight, and even the way that you got into this tournament, you mentioned it on the broadcast when Jimmy Smith was talking to you, that, God put you in this spot. It was, it was in his hands, and he blessed you with this opportunity. Do you feel that, it is your destiny to win this tournament? If we were to write a movie with what has gone on up until this point, people wouldn't believe it, because you came in out of nowhere. You had been on a long layoff, and somebody got injured, and then you're pushed into this spot, and you won the fight, and now you're here again. Do you feel that this is your destiny to win this tournament?
I don't know. I like I said, I take each fight at a time. Mm-hmm. I've learned from my past not to look too far ahead, and and definitely, anybody in a tournament that enters a tournament is definitely going to want to win it. And is it my destiny? Is it my destiny? I have no clue. Mm-hmm. But as long as whatever I do, I'm just going to glorify him, glorify my Lord, and whatever I do, win or lose, it doesn't really matter, But really, it's the testimony that I get from, what I do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I wish you the best of luck throughout the remainder of this tournament. Justin, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Oak Grove for sponsoring me, and Zinkin Entertainment for being behind me always. Thank my wife for being there for me always. Leslie, love you. And Natalie, my daughter, I love her. All the kids that train with me at Fight Club Pittsburgh, and my boys at AKA, and my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. Justin, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it.
No problem, Mike. Thank you.